For my 30th birthday party, I came up with my own murder mystery game, and here's how I did it. Hello, my name's Nicole, and for the past couple of years I've been throwing murder mystery parties for my birthdays and for my friends to enjoy. These past couple of years I've purchased murder mystery kits that I found online, and they are all scripted stories that you follow along to figure out who the murderer is, but this year I wanted to attempt making my own murder mystery. And I promise you, at some point this whole outfit and this board are going to make a lot of sense. So, about the murder mystery parties I've thrown in the past, I've made a couple videos about those, so feel free to go check them out down in the description below. I really enjoyed those kits, but this year I really got into the reality TV show called The Traitors, which inspired me to want to come up with my own murder mystery game instead of following a scripted version this year. So if you don't know what the show The Traitors is, it's a reality TV show where a group of contestants gather at a big castle. 3 people are nominated to be the traitors, aka the people who will be murdering / voting out different contestants, and it's up to the rest of the contestants, the faithfuls, to try to figure out who the traitors are and eliminate them before everyone gets murdered. And the idea there is that by the end of the game, if there are any traitors left in the game, the traitors win, and if it's all faithfuls in the game, then the faithfuls win. I really enjoyed watching this TV show because I love to see all of the discussions that went on between the contestants, how the traitors plan out their murders, their reasoning behind the murders, and watching everyone try to figure out what's happening while at the same time the traitors are trying to convince everyone that they're just like everyone else, and the drama that unfolds. And I thought, wouldn't that be a fun idea to get my friends involved in for a sort of murder mystery party? So with that in mind, I wanted to bring my usual murder mystery party to another level, to make it kind of follow the format of The Traitors, and to turn it into a unscripted murder mystery party, which I was hoping would result in more discussions and more detective work from my friends. Here's how I planned out my own murder mystery party. It all started with me making a guidebook. And if you are interested in this guidebook, I will have it posted on my website so you can go take a look. But basically what this contains is the story / theme that I wanted for this murder mystery party. I wanted it to be a garden of murders. Basically just because I would be having it outside in my garden, and I thought that would be a fun theme, and then making all the characters plant themed. So of course I went for a very floral outfit, and I asked my guests to dress up in their best floral attire for the party as well. And in addition to this, as you can see with the board, I thought it would be a fun visual element to track as the game goes along all the different people who were either innocent people or who were murdered or who were eliminated. So this is kind of the final result. But as you can see, for each person I have on the board, I had one image of them without a cross, and then I had another image of them with a cross so I could swap them out as the game goes along. This was of course very heavily inspired by The Traitors, who have that giant wall of portraits for everyone with crosses that get painted out on people when they do get eliminated or murdered. As for the story of the murders that are going on, the mystery of it all, this is what I came up with. Flora Fernadette is known for her highly esteemed collection of flowers and holds an annual party to show off the finest blooms of the season. As a wealthy horticulturist, many are jealous of Flora's abilities. Jealous enough to attempt to steal the prize Deletris Rosen lace flower, worth $100,000 for a single stem which only blooms once a year. Each petal on the DR lace flower contains enough poison to kill a person without leaving a trace. Everyone at the party has a motive for wanting this flower, so bad that they just might want to kill for it. Will you help weed out the culprit, or will you be left pushing daisies? So that's the kind of general premise of why everyone's gathered here today. They all want this special flower that contains enough poison to kill a person, and they all have their own motives for it. So something that my friend Lindsay and I did was create a giant chart of characters, all with different kind of punny plant-related names, and everyone has a description of who they are and also a motive for wanting the flower. Myself as the host who plays Flora Fernadette doesn't have a motive, and also I had my husband listed as Figgy Fernadette, the husband of Flora, as the second host of the party, and he also does not have a motive, but everyone else does. The non-scripted part of this video is that my friends have the option of choosing any of these characters they want to play, and their description and motive is already there, but it's up to them how they want to play the character. And now let's get into the gameplay of the video, how this game would actually work. Here's what I wrote. Among the players, there will be a small group of murderers chosen. For my game and for the number of people that I had attending, I chose to choose 3 people to be the murderers, but that number is up to you. The murderers will be known as the murderers, and the rest of the players will be the innocent. Only the murderers and the host will know who the murderers are, and it is up to the innocent to figure out who the murderers are. Each round, the murderers will have the chance to choose an innocent to eliminate/murder. And for everyone, the murderers and the innocent together will have the chance to nominate someone for elimination. You are allowed to speak openly during discussions, but be mindful of what secrets you might be unknowingly telling. When a person is voted out of the game, they must say if they were a murderer or an innocent, and reveal their role in the game. Whether murdered or voted out, players can still participate in the game/discussions and are allowed one final vote. The rounds will continue until there are only 2 players left, or if all murderers are left behind. If at least one of the players is a murderer, the murderers win by default. If both remaining players are innocent, the innocents win the game. I know throwing that all out there doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I am going to do a run through of how my actual party went so you get an idea of how everything kind of turned out in the end, and it makes a lot more sense as it's happening and as you see it unfold. This was sort of an experiment for me. I knew that it would work out, but it worked out a lot better than I thought it would. It was awesome seeing my friends all embrace their characters during it and come up with their own kind of backstories and things to throw into the mix. It was a lot of fun. And also thrown into this whole party, I had secret roles involved, which were very inspired by Blood on the Clock Tower and the different roles that can be played in that game, kind of to make things more interesting, because I was afraid that if we did so many rounds of just kind of like discussing and voting people out and having people get murdered, that the party would be too fast. So to make things a little bit more interesting, I threw in these secret roles, which I will go over in a little bit, and also had mini games in between each round. And once all the party prep was done, my guests arrived, my friends arrived, and I had everyone choose a character from the character sheet and got them to write down their character name on a name tag so they could wear that around so everyone knew who they would be, and got them familiar with their character descriptions before we went into my yard and got the actual game started. So as we gathered outside, I explained the rules of the game to all of my friends. I don't think anyone was super clear on what was happening and how it would turn out, but I knew that as the game progressed that people would catch on as we went and played, and I gave them the opportunity to ask questions, any questions they needed. And I also gave them the opportunity at any point to pull me aside privately in an area where no one else could hear us to ask me any very specific questions they had. So for example, if someone was a murderer and they had questions about how that worked, they could pull me aside and ask me questions, not revealing their identity to anyone else. But what I really liked about this was that instantly my friends were very quick to pull me aside and not ask me questions about the game, but just to wish me happy birthday or to chat for a little bit to stir up some drama in the game. So I thought that was really fun. And I think if you want to throw your own party like this, I definitely recommend giving that option. It was just really fun, and it gave me a chance to connect with my friends because I don't always have a chance to talk to everyone one-on-one at a party. Highly recommend it. But after that, we all went around and introduced our characters. It was really fun getting to see everyone introduce themselves in character and kind of the own flair they brought to it and their relationships with all the other characters. And then it was time to choose the murderers of the game and also to assign the secret roles in the game. So how I did this was that I got everyone to close their eyes and also make noise at the same time, and I said, if you are a murderer, I'm going to tap your knee and I want you to give me a thumbs up to acknowledge that you are a murderer, and keep that in your mind. So I went around and I tapped 3 of my friends' knees, nominating them as murderers. And after that, I asked everyone to still keep their eyes closed, and then I assigned the secret roles of the game. There ended up being 4 secret roles that I chose to go with, meaning that anyone who had a secret role was also not a murderer, but I guess in theory you could also have a murderer play one of these secret roles. But let's go over those roles now to kind of tell you how it plays into the game that was about to happen. So the first role that we have is the philosopher. The philosopher can ask the host one yes or no question at any point in the game, and the host has to answer. So the philosopher can ask this question even if they're dead or eliminated, so even if they're a ghost. And they can also ask the host in private if they desire. So that means that they could ask me something like, is this person the murderer? Or is this person the murderer? Basically any yes or no question they could want, and myself as the host would have to answer with yes or no. The next secret role that we have is the antidote holder. And I guess I should explain that in my mind, the way these murders were carried out is, using the poison from the flower in the game. So this person has the power to provide any player with an antidote to the poison before the murderer picks them as their victim. So basically with the antidote holder, my idea was that they could assign any player, including themselves, an antidote each round to prevent that person from being murdered if they are chosen as the victim of the game. So I thought that would be kind of a fun twist, because in the Traitors, they have something called a shield, where if someone has a shield, that means that they can't get murdered, and sometimes that really throws people for a loop because the murderers have no idea who has the antidote. And the next secret role I have is the fortune teller, and the fortune teller at any point in the game, once per round, can ask the host the innocent or guilty status of any two players each round. That means that they could ask, what's the status of these two people? And if they're both murderers, then the host would say they're guilty, or if they're both innocent, then the host would say they're innocent, or if one of them's a murderer, then they would know that at least one of them is guilty. And finally, we have the role of the bartender. The bartender can make one player drunk each round if they choose to. If a player becomes drunk and has no secret roles, their vote for the elimination will not count, and the bartender cannot make themselves drunk. This one was a really fun one to announce because immediately everyone was like, what does that mean? And basically what that means is what I said: if you don't have a secret role in the game and you are drunk, you don't know that you're drunk, but your vote will not count. So I thought that would sway things a lot more, but it didn't end up coming into play. But what I thought was fun was by choosing this bartender can make people drunk thing, is that the people with the other secret roles don't know that they might have been affected. So for example, if the philosopher is chosen to be drunk, they may be told the opposite answer to their question. Or if the antidote holder is drunk, their healing abilities will not work for the round, but they don't know that. And if the fortune teller is drunk, the fortune teller may be told the false status when checking two players. So basically it kind of undoes their secret role if they happen to be made drunk. And yeah, I thought these secret roles would just add another level to the game of kind of who the murderer should be thinking about to eliminate, and also for the other players thinking about who is playing what role in the game, because the bartender could definitely throw people for a loop. I hope that all makes sense. If it doesn't, feel free to ask me questions down below. This is my first time coming up with something like this, and I did not come up with the original idea. I definitely drew inspiration from a lot of different places and threw my own twist on it. So yeah, if you are interested in doing this and following my guide, I would love it if you let me know. You can find me on Instagram or find me here. And if you have any questions about how it goes, feel free to message me down below. Thinking of ways I would make sure this party went smoothly, and one of those was coming up with my own tracking system for the party. So what I did was actually made a chart in GoodNotes on my iPad to keep track of everything that went on. But you could definitely do this with a piece of paper. It basically functions the same way. I will include a screenshot of how this chart worked, and I will also explain to you how this all worked out during the actual gameplay. So basically I made a chart with everyone's character names, and I drew out different columns for each round of game that we would play. I didn't know how many rounds we would end up having. Basically what happens is each round someone gets murdered, unless they don't get murdered because of the antidote holder, and guaranteed someone will get eliminated. So I wasn't sure how many rounds there would be, so I made the columns flexible for me to add more or remove more. I indicated different roles by using letters. So I use like an M for the murderer, or F for the fortune teller, B for the bartender, P for the philosopher, A for the antidote holder, etc. And I also used this to track who was using what ability on who, and also tracking the number of votes that occurred each round and who got murdered. I think having a sheet of paper with your own columns and pens would also work. I just thought it would be easier to do it on the iPad. So after that first round, I gave everyone the chance to have a discussion about who they thought the murderer could be. Everyone didn't really have a good idea of it yet, and something that I wish I did in the game was that I should have made it more clear that the murderers should be taking the opportunity to kind of like find ways to sneak around and discuss the murders with each other, because I did allow all the murderers to open their eyes during the picking session when everyone else's eyes were closed, and I made sure they all made eye contact, and I told them like, you guys are the murderers, you're all looking at each other so you all know who you are. And yeah, I just wish I made it very explicit that they should be talking to each other, because I think there was a little bit of confusion there that I wanted them to scheme together, but it still ended up working out anyways. Back to the actual gameplay, I picked who the murderers were. I assigned people their secret roles, all while everyone else's eyes were closed, so no one knows who was who. And also something fun that I did was I gave everyone a little notebook so that they could write down notes if they wanted to, and each time we did an elimination vote, I had them write it down on the notebook so they could just like reveal it. Kind of like how Survivor works, but they also do this on the Traitors. After our discussion, letting everyone really embrace the roles of their characters and kind of discussing who the murderers would be, I once again asked everyone to close their eyes, and I asked the murderers who they wanted to murder, and they silently came to a conclusion. Then I asked all of the different secret roles how they wanted to use their secret roles. I guess this really only applied to the bartender and the antidote holder, but still, that's what I did. And with that, I asked everyone to open their eyes again, and using this board, I revealed who was murdered because there was someone in the first round. I allowed a chance for discussion because people were, you know, immediately suspicious to hear that someone was murdered. And then we went on to our first mini game. So like I said before, between each of these voting rounds and like playing rounds, I did have mini games included because I wasn't sure if we needed more activities to kind of fill out our time. I should also mention that the teams between my friends chose team names for themselves, so we had Pedal to the Metal and Team Jelly. And I think my friends had a lot of fun doing it, so here's a rundown of all the mini games I included. If you're interested in doing your own sort of party like this, I highly recommend that you come up with some games that you think your friends would be fun. Or don't include them if you don't want to, that's okay too. But if you're looking for ideas, here's what I did. We had paper airplane tossing as one of the games. I gave each team, I believe, about 5 minutes to come up with their own paper airplane, and you were supposed to transport a fake flower from the point where you throw the paper airplane into this big bin, and the team who got the paper airplane into the bin would win a point, and if you got multiple planes in, you could win multiple points. I guess I would put more rules on this in the future because friends got very creative and decided that their planes were wet, crumpled up balls of paper, planes with rocks in them that were taped together. No one ended up getting their paper airplane in, which was unfortunate. Maybe next time I would change the rule to be who can throw their plane the farthest. Another game we had was kazoo music making. So between the two teams, I asked each team to divide themselves into people who would be the musicians and people who would be the listeners. And then I handed each of the musicians a little kazoo, and I told them a song to play, a very simple song to play on the kazoo, to have their other team members guess it, and if your team could guess the song, then you win a point. So can you tell what songs they're playing? This is my new favorite song. Team Jelly!
Mary had a little lamb.
Yeah!
Mary had a little...
This is so impressive!
This is great.
Is it the color?
And And another mini game I did was a group art making challenge. This one was just for fun. They both won a point in the end, but basically I gave each team a big white poster board and a pack of markers, and I asked them to draw me a birthday bouquet each. This one was nice because I got to get 2 gifts out of it. I got 2 beautiful pieces of art for myself to have. It was really adorable overhearing them discussing what they wanted to draw in each of the bouquets to try to win. Another game I threw in was a charades Pictionary challenge where I wrote down a whole bunch of different prompts of all my different interests. So I'd put things in like Baldur's Gate 3, Twilight, Howl's Moving Castle, The Legend of Zelda, all different things like that, or things relevant to my life, and I gave them the option of either acting it out or drawing it out. There's another side to the whiteboard, so I had them draw on the other side of it, and it was really fun seeing my friends give it their best attempt because some of them had no idea what some of the things were, but they still gave it a try, and it was a really quick way to rack up points for each time someone was able to guess something. And finally, the last mini game was something that I just thought would be really funny. To test my friends' knowledge of how well they knew me, I made a Nicole trivia, which included a bunch of random facts about me to see if they could get them right. And yeah, they did pretty good. So that was a very fun mini game, especially to do for a birthday. Ask your friends to do trivia about yourself, see what they know. Back to the actual game and everything that happened. We proceeded with all the different rounds. It continued on the same way. Discussions, people voting out other people, people getting murdered, the secret roles coming into play. Unfortunately, our bartender got eliminated pretty quickly, so he did not have the chance to kind of make things more chaotic, which would have been really fun. Once he revealed that he was the bartender, everyone was kind of disappointed that they didn't get to see that come into play. But that's okay. And at one point, 2 out of my 3 murderers were eliminated. They were discovered, unfortunately, and because I still had quite a few people left in the game, I secretly went and nominated another murderer, so I let the murderers know about each other, and that was enough to keep the game going until the very end. So with that and all the mini games completed, all the rounds completed, it was time for our grand finale to reveal who the last 2 contestants were. But unfortunately, I messed this up for myself. Somewhere along the lines, I think when we reached 3 people, it was revealed that there was 1 more murderer left, and then that revealed that, well, okay, there's no more murderers left. I think they all kind of caught on to the fact that no more murderers were left in the game, so of course the last 2 people had to be innocent, but I tried to like make it kind of like the Traitors where you make it dramatic of like, do you trust this person to be an innocent person? By this point, they had already revealed to each other that they were innocent, and like, you know, the murderer had just been cast out, so there was no doubt that was the ending. It wasn't as dramatic as I wanted, and it was pretty funny that I goofed up in the end, but it was nice that my friends played along with it. And at the end, I asked everyone for their opinion if they preferred the scripted murder mystery we've done in the past where you follow and read off of a script and the like murderer is preset. With this one, it's way different. There's no script, it's just up to you talking, figuring things out. And it was really interesting to see how different friends would get like flustered trying to defend themselves, and then they would be accused of being a murderer even if they weren't. But also they were getting flustered in character, like as if their character was denying they could ever be a murderer because they're just a humble gardener who doesn't do anything else in life and they just serve this house. And I don't know, it was just really fun seeing how the characters played out. And it was unanimous that everyone definitely preferred this format of murder mystery where things were left open-ended, you could choose to go off script and defend yourself and also play the detective. My friend who played the role of the fortune teller had a blast trying to investigate everyone, interviewing everyone, trying to figure out who the murderer could possibly be, and using that question each round to try to figure out who the murderer was. But even she got blindsided at the end, so I think it was a really awesome time getting to see all my friends interacting with each other, trying to figure things out, and I just got to be there to witness it all. But definitely I would love to be a participant in one of these games in the future. And yeah, like I said before, if this is of any interest to you, I will leave a link down below where you can find my guidebook, and feel free to use this in your own party if it's something that would interest you too. So with that, the party wrapped up. We got to eat my cake, I got to have happy birthday sung to me, and then it was time to open up all of the wonderful presents that my friends got for me. There were some very special gifts in there and really beautifully written cards that made me cry, but it's okay. It was very sweet, and I guess this is the sappy moment of the video where I tell you that I am grateful For all of my friends who attended and let me make them be murderers or be murdered, and to just kind of go along with this idea I had and to give it their all and to be good sports. I didn't have any prizes to hand out for them playing the games, and they were still willing to just go along with it and just have fun, and I'm really touched because I think this format of party definitely wouldn't work the same if you didn't have people who were so enthusiastic about it and making it work. And it was just really special, and I will definitely be doing this again. And I'd like to give another little shout out to my friend Lindsay, who helped me come up with this character list for this party. I was scrambling towards the end and stressing out about how I could make up enough characters for everyone to choose for the party, and I wanted to come up with like funny names for each of them, but my brain was just so focused on other things. But she really came through to help me brainstorm and come up with different ideas and different characters, and her enthusiasm for it made it so much easier to do this last little bit of planning. She is also a writer, and I highly recommend you check her out. She has her own YouTube channel. Please go say hello to her. And I want to give a very big thank you to you for watching this video if you watched all the way through. If you don't already know me, I am a writer and I make other creative videos like this, but also vlogs about my journey as a writer or just my daily life in general. So please hit that subscribe button if you'd like to see more from me. And if you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate it if you left me a like to let me know that you liked it. It means a lot. And thank you for being here. Thank you for spending some time with me and for listening to me ramble on about how I planned my own murder mystery party for my 30th birthday. I hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you are. Thank you for spending some time with me, and see you again soon. Bye.